Introducing the BlueStones.
Recently, I watched your performance live on display there, and that's unreal, man. Super cool. Not just the music, but also the whole setup you guys got, that entire room. And one of the coolest things I think about your band is how you're only a two-piece and how much sound comes out of the band.
Yeah, thank you. Again, that was a really interesting process because it was a live performance that we actually had to produce, we were working with Paul again, and he helped produce these alternate tracks that we can now perform live in this little space. It was really, really cool to rehearse for it and actually execute it in a couple of days, with reshoots and all that stuff. But it was good. It was fun.
I noticed you did a little bit different things with your songs there, like Shaking Off the Rust. You didn't start it with the way that it starts on the record, but you had a keyboard in there.
Yes.
And that is a really cool looking keyboard. And I wondered, is there a story behind that keyboard? I don't even know if they make them like that anymore. It looks like an older one.
Yeah, it's like an old piano that actually the company that was furnishing and designing the set brought in.
Really?
This old piano with the front taken off so you could see all the mouths hitting the strings. It was cool. I don't even know what kind of piano that is. If I'm trying to think back to what it was just kind of there, and they're like, hey, you want to play this? And we're like, yeah.
I think he doesn't really say a name on it. You just see, like you said, the things flying at you, which is kind of fascinating. True. Even just to watch that. I thought it was cool. You walked away from it and there's this moment of kind of anticipation. You know what's coming, the Shaking Off the Rust, and then boom, comes in. That is awesome.
Cool.
I want to see you guys live one day when I get the chance.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I want to see us live too.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Well, that kind of leads to another question too. How have you guys been working through the whole pandemic and stuff? Because obviously it's affected live shows, and I see you've been doing things. You made that live on display, and you're staying busy.
Yeah, it's partly of what it's about. I mean, I think that was sort of born out of this frustration with having to log on to any kind of live stream thing, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and just playing acoustic guitar in your basement. It's after a while you just miss performing. So live on display was a nice way to do that while still playing within the rules and regulations, right? Mm-hmm. But other than that, we just kind of keep busy with whether it's live streams. We have a Patreon now where we kind of do Zoom hangouts with our deeper fans, and other than that, it's just back to our lives, because when you're touring, it's you forget that you have a personal life as well. So it's actually kind of been nice to focus on what do I have to do in my life? That's for me at least.
So this year has been a pretty solid year for you guys as well, though. You were nominated for a Juno Award for Breakthrough Group of the Year. How does that feel for you guys?
Crazy, awesome. It was great. It was so unexpected, and it was just kind of nice to be recognized by your country that way. For the longest time, we thought we were outcasts in Canada, because when we were kind of grinding it out indie, nobody really paid us any mind, no agents, no labels, nothing in Canada, and we tried, trust me. So it was nice to finally, after all these years, be oh no, Canada, they kind of took the boys back. So it was good to have that, and there was a stellar roster of other artists that were in that category as well. So it was just kind of cool to be put up with them.
And the one thing I noticed, though, you guys both have IMDb pages. You've gotten into some acting. So
do I have one? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have one? I have to look this up right now.
Jeez. I hope there's nothing embarrassing on there. I should probably scrub through that.
See, I made sure to scrub through mine. Actually, not even that long ago. I think about a month ago, just to be sure.
So I was going to say, even for some reason, if music doesn't work out, you've got your acting careers to fall back on.
That's the backup plan, acting.
Yeah.
A nice easy job of acting.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that was something funny and true. Okay, so truthfully,
yeah.
we were kind of like we just did like a bunch of student films in when we were in university, and we were like, wow, that acting is so hard that we're gonna try doing music instead, which is also pretty tough. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna try and do acting anytime soon, personally.
Hey, but you guys make it work with 2 people as a band. How has that been for you guys?
It's actually been a lot easier than what I would imagine a 4 or 5 or 6 piece band works like, because really it's been Justin and myself this entire time, and we've been able to sort of produce a sound that was enough for people to really, really enjoy. So, you know, there's only 2 people to split the checks. There's only 2 people to decide on things. So it's actually kind of nice, and we see it as almost like an advantage, you know?
Yeah. I think it is an advantage more than it's a hindrance for sure. I mean, it does suck to like have to only split the drive between 2 people, and like that, but that's kind of it. Like, I mean, everything else works in our favor. Like for the longest time, we toured in like a Chevy Impala, and then like with all of our gear, and then I think we did like an SUV for like a cross country tour once. And I mean, again, you're only getting 1 hotel room. Like there's always 2 beds. It's easy. Like we didn't really have to do a lot of the struggles that bands with 4 members did. And I mean, I think we're still kind of at that advantage. So yeah, it's been good.
So with your concerts, you're making live music right there. How has that been, like, when you're trying to make different sounds at the same time, drumming, guitar, singing? How has that been for you guys?
Like, as in,
It must be challenging to go from you record in the studio, you make your song, but then, like, let's say you have a couple guitars going in the song, but then you got to do it live. You got all these loops going on. It must be a little bit challenging to keep it all together.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's we try not to write in the studio. Like, we try not to limit ourselves where it's like, oh, how are we going to do this live? Because eventually we'll just figure it out. Or as Justin puts it, which I think is pretty spot on, when we're playing live, we're actually just covering what we made in studio. So the live show is going to be inevitably different every single time we perform a song that's off the album, because we're doing the live version of it now. So again, it was a really cool thing about Live on Display was like, well, this is similar to how we do things, because when you come see us live, we're not doing things exactly as how they are on the album. We want to give you more than that and something different. So that's how we kind of explain our way of how our songs sound different live than they do on the record, whether or not they have more instrumentation, you know?
What has been the hardest song for you guys to perform or write?
Man, Little Brothers, I hate playing that song.
Yeah.
That is surprisingly, out of all the songs that we have written and the ones that we perform, that's the one that I struggle with the most, and I don't know why. It's just, there's a lot of switch ups happening, and I feel like that's still one of the songs where I can't just play it effortlessly. Like, I still have to kind of be like, oh, I really got to try here. That's mine. That would be mine.
How is it when you guys are writing songs? Like, how do you co-write songs?
Yeah, the process is more just like Tarek will start something off with like a riff or a riff with lyrics, and then he'll kind of flip it to me with like an idea of like, here's like the high level thought for drums. Then I'll go back and do drums. But in the case, like, there's plenty of songs, I would say most songs, we kind of get to that point before lyrics get added. Tarek kind of takes care of that part. But
yeah.
What about a favorite song to play? Do you have or that you've written?
Let me see. I think Grim still takes the crown for that for me. I love playing that song. It's one of my favorite songs you've ever written. I'd probably say Grim.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Same for both of you, eh? Both Grim?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's good. That's got to make it more energetic too when you play. If you both love playing it, then
yeah. I mean, there's plenty of them.
Out better.
There's plenty of them that we love to play, but that one for sure is the one that we love. I think before it was probably Rolling with the Punches, but new stuff comes and you end up liking it better.
When you guys tour, where has been your favorite place to play?
Like city or venue?
Venue.
Okay. That one's a little tough.
Okay, well then city.
I got to think of the venue now, though.
Oh, okay.
I think the one in the Thunderbird in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Was it called the Thunderbird one? That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
That one
Cafe,
was pretty awesome. I would say
Yeah,
that
that's a cool one.
one sticks out.
What makes it so unique or special for you guys to play at?
If it's new, that is like always.
So that's what I was gonna say. We're a little funny. Like I don't. I think most venues that artists probably love to play in, we like. I don't know. Don't exactly care so much. Like, I mean, there are definitely some historic venues that would be cool to play, but like, generally, a lot of these like old storied venues are like don't have really a green room. They suck to load in and out of. There's no parking. Like it stinks and is a shitty stage. Like it's not very. It doesn't have a lot of like the creature comforts, I guess.
The acoustics maybe.
Yeah, sometimes that's also a thing. Yeah, sometimes they're not really like built to the standards that a new venue would be. But when you're on the road for a long time, it's just nice to go to a new venue where it's like, yeah, you just pull right up to this garage and you load all your stuff in, and like we got a huge green room and there's laundry and we have catering right there. It's like there's a new fresh shower is like so nice to get that in the middle of a tour. That I think we like disproportionately love those kind of venues.
What has been the hardest venue for you guys to play in?
There was one that sticks out in particular was the only time we ever played New Orleans. We got in that day. The night before we were in LA, and we were like finishing a tour. So we had been on the road for probably 3 weeks at that time. It's not like a crazy amount of time, but we had just gone through a bunch of like very long drives, got to LA, played a show, and then had to like be up at 3 a.m. to like fly to New Orleans, get to the venue just in time to like set up our shit. The venue, like, Tarek, you remember there was just like water all over the floor,
like a huge leak.
And we were like, oh, was there a leak? And they're like, oh no, that's just the ice machine. Like that's a normal thing. The back room was a shithole. I'm sorry for anyone who works at this venue who sees this, but it was just like the couch was disgusting, and that was like the only comfortable thing to sit on. And I just remember being so miserable because I was so tired. That one was a hard night. I was really tired and cranky, and it was like, I just want to have a bed and be comfortable. But the funny thing was that a lot of people at the show were like, oh my God, that was so good. And I was like, okay.
Well, maybe you just had pent up aggression and passion, right? That just exuded onto the song, maybe? I don't know.
Likely.
Must be. Like, Eric was crying up there. He's so passionate. Meanwhile, I'm so tired. I don't want to die.
You guys have toured a lot around the country and around Europe and into the UK. How is the differences between crowds from North America to Europe and the UK? Like how big of a difference is there?
There's I'll tell you one story, and it was when we were playing in Germany, and I think it was Berlin, but we would play a song, and we started to encounter this like show after show after show, but it was in Berlin that we really clued into what was going on. But we'd play a song, people would clap for maybe 10 seconds. So they'd make noise, like, wooing and clapping, and then it would be dead silent. And it's like,
oh, that's difficult.
What is going on? Like we thought we were doing something wrong, because like after each show I'd kind of like look at Justin and be like, were you okay after that song? Like, what was going on? And then like it happened like 2-3 times, and then finally in Berlin, like I think it was somebody, correct me if I'm wrong, Tess, but I think it was somebody at like the merch table that was explaining it to us.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, like they're not quiet because they don't like it. They're quiet because you have the floor, and they're being respectful. Like they're sitting there. They're like, you have our attention. Like the floor is on you. We're listening to everything that you have to say. Yeah. So it was just a perspective thing because, and this is to answer your question, in North America, I think the crowds are pretty, excitable, and they're energetic. And after each song, you can't get them to stop like clapping and stuff. So it's like, that was the biggest noticeable change between North America and then Europe. And also, if I'm to kind of go into like a subcategory between Canada and the US, in the US, they definitely get a lot louder. They definitely get a lot more aggressive in a good way, versus Canadians, who are definitely more respectful. And you really got to like yank it out of Canadians, I think. It's like,
I'm at concerts, I'm screaming.
Yeah. I think on a general scale, like you got to really tell them it's okay to go crazy. Like, listen, it's fine. Nothing's gonna happen to you guys. Just enjoy yourselves. So
yeah, like the first few times that we performed in the US, it was like, wow, man, these people like get into it. And I don't know. I think just the Canadian reservation is just kind of like a thing. They're just like, yeah, we're not gonna go too crazy for you. But
you guys originated from Windsor. So what got you started in Windsor? How did you branch out?
Yeah, so there's a really important venue in Windsor called Fog Lounge that right around the time that we were kind of starting to write our own music, they were nominated by CBC as like the best live music venue in Canada. And a big part of that is because the promoter, Tom Lucier, went out of his way to find bands that were like coming around. Like if there was American bands that were coming around Detroit, he would invite them over to Windsor. Or if there were Canadian bands that were coming down to like London, he would invite them again to come down to Windsor. It's a geographically weird area. And so like, I understand why a lot of bands wouldn't really come, because like you loop down and then the only way is back. So like it really sucks from like a money standpoint. But we played with a lot of like out of town bands who were like, okay, well, thanks for hosting us here in Windsor. Next time you're in like St. Catharines or Toronto or Guelph, what have you, we will headline for you guys. And then you can kind of like tap into our crowd. So that kind of got us out on the road. And then once we started doing shows in Ontario, we were like, okay, could we do shows anywhere else? Started going up to like Montreal. Went to the East Coast a couple times, and then eventually it kind of snowballs, and we're kind of here now. So
awesome.
I'm curious where you guys got the band name from, the BlueStones. Or is that a band secret?
Yeah, everybody asks us this.
It's definitely not a secret.
Yeah, everybody asks us this. I think we just thought it sounded good. Really, at the end of the day, just thought it sounded good.
It's catchy. You don't forget it. Like when you hear it, you remember it.
I wish that it had some kind of deeper meaning, but it really doesn't. And that might even be better, just to say that it's just a cool collection of 3 words that we thought sounded good.
Yeah. Leaves people wondering too. Like that's one of the first things I wanted to ask you guys.
Yeah. A lot of people go for like the blues tones, like, oh, they have blues tones in their music, but I'm just going to squash that right now. It's not right. That's not
I actually accidentally
No.
typed in the blues tones one time, and I was like, oh, maybe that's why.
Nope.
Not the case though, eh?
No.
Do you guys have a favorite moment or a favorite thing about doing all this? You gotta love playing music.
There was one cool one. We were doing a show in Detroit, and this guy like had messaged us beforehand, and he said like, me and my girlfriend have like loved you guys for a long time, and we're from the Detroit area, and like I want to turn your show into like a proposal for her.
Wow.
And so it was really cool. We had them on stage in the middle of a song, so we just kind of like held down a section of the song and repeated it while he like brought her on stage. They were like in the front row.
Wow.
So we knew this whole thing ahead of time. We like knew who he was, we knew who she was, and we told him like, okay, when I do this, when I say like I'm inviting my special friend or whatever to come on stage, he like got up and she was like totally surprised by it. It was a really nice moment. It was like, you know, touching that someone decided to make that part of their life, which is something we'll never forget.
And then she said
you know,
no.
Oh my God,
Can you imagine?
that would suck. I think we talked about that, Tarek. Like,
We did, because
are
like
we sure
the
he's gonna
part
say
that
yes?
comes right after that section is like a guitar solo. So that would have been disastrous.
Man, what? Like, oh, wow.
You were
Yeah,
to say
that would've
no,
sucked.
and then I rip a guitar solo.
No. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully.
So what has been the most awkward part or any moment during any song that you have performed live? Like, has there been any bad moments,
dude,
awkward
there's
moments?
Countless moments. Like,
Oh yeah. Always.
My amp just shuts off and
Yeah.
it doesn't make any noise. Or like a
Like, tell them
cable
about
shorts out.
Munich recently.
Yeah.
The last time.
Just none of the electrical was working. Like the venue electrical doesn't work. Or like a test. Like I remember one time your kick pedal went through the skin of the kick drum.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, and it's just
Wow.
like, at those moments, there's nothing you can do. You just feel so powerful.
Yeah. When you only have two people, it really sucks, because like I've seen a show where like something happened to the guitarist's, like he broke a couple of strings. I mean, to break a string in a song is like, it happens, but like something happened, I forget what it was, like something ripped a few strings off. And so like there was three people, so the bass player and the drummer just like held it down for a while and like kept it going. And then the guy like quickly like put some strings into the guitar, and then like he came in super hard and like it was like so sick. When there's only two people, if one of us goes away, honestly, especially if Tarek's thing doesn't work, then I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, I'm not gonna do a drum solo. Like I have no idea how long this is gonna last, so I don't know, you just break into stand-up comedy basically.
That's brutal.
Yeah, man.
Man.
So it happens. I mean, you just have to be okay with it. And I mean, for the most part, the audience is like, okay, it's just a shitty thing that they have no control over. It's not like anyone's judging you. I don't know. You just feel bad for like, especially when it was a set. So like, say for the thing in Munich, it was because they have different power. Like they have 1 or 240 volt and we use 120. And so something was happening. It was a very old venue. It was like a castle. And we tripped all of their breakers at the same time. And
Whoa.
So just like out of nowhere, all the lights in the venue went out. Everything electronic stopped working. So we were just like, shit, but we still had to be off stage at the same time. So we were just kind of like cutting into our own set by trying to fix things. So you feel bad because you're like, I just kind of stole 15 minutes away from, a performance that you paid for, right?
Right.
Well, looks like you guys are going acoustic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, God. Campfire songs.
I wanted to ask you guys though, like you started in Windsor, but how did you guys meet each other? How did you start?
I think we first met each other on a hockey team way back when we were in grade school, but didn't really know each other then. Then in high school, we played on the football team together. And from that, kind of got to know each other a little bit more. And from that, we had like the same circle of friends and we started hanging out a bit more. And really it was about 6 years after we had met that we started to actually make music together. So we had been friends for a very, very long time. And we met, pretty much on the high school football team in high school. Yeah.
You mentioned that you guys played on the same hockey team together. Do you guys still play some hockey from time to time?
I
haven't in a long time, man. Yeah.
I haven't played in a very long time.
Very long time.
Favorite
Yeah,
NHL team then?
Yeah, I guess, again, I don't even it's been a while since I've like really followed hockey strongly, but I would say the Wings. If I was like, if they were like, yeah, you gotta start following a team tomorrow, I would say the Red Wings for sure.
Hometown team.
Yeah, so like Windsor's kind of funny in that like it's very torn between like Detroit teams and Toronto teams for the most part. Hockey for sure, most like it's 50-50, I would say. Half the city is Wings fans, half the city is Toronto. But for baseball, it's almost like 90% Tigers and then only 10% Jays. So I don't know, it's just a hockey thing. But Tarek, you were growing up, you were like a Leafs fan, right?
Yeah. I can't really say I'm a fan of a team right now. I can really name more than one player on maybe 3 teams. But when it comes to, I love playoff hockey. I think it's so exciting, and I'll just kind of track what's going on. But what is it for you guys? I mean, you're Niagara, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so
yeah.
Toronto or Buffalo?
It's just like Windsor in that sense. It's 50-50. I've got a lot of Sabres fans. I've got a lot of Leaf fans in Niagara.
Okay.
But then you'll get the Niagara Ice Dogs, right? So the OHL. Right. And then it might be the same way in Windsor, like for the Spitfires as well for you guys, maybe.
Yeah. Decent following in Windsor for Spitfires, for sure.
I think we're like bigger football fans than we are hockey, and
there's
been so many times where I'm like, oh shit, it's Sunday and like there's games, but we're in a car for 8 hours, so we're not going to watch anything. And like, you get out of the habit of like watching that stuff and paying attention to it, which kind of is a bummer. And like, especially playing it, I remember we did pick up like flag football for a long time with a bunch of our friends, and then as music stuff started getting more serious, we were like, I can't afford to like break an ankle or like jam a finger or something. Like kind of can't do these things anymore. So like haven't played hockey in a long time, haven't played football in a long time. Just kind of the weird small realities of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you guys were on the road quite a bit, and with this year, you haven't been on the road probably at all. So then how have you guys been passing the time with COVID and dealing with mental health and all of that?
It's nice to kind of get in touch with your personal life again. You know, when you're on the road, you kind of put a lot of things on hold, whether it's a relationship or it's, moving forward, getting a house or what have you. That stuff goes on hold because you're focused on your career. So now that we've had this, huge amount of time to focus on that stuff, it's been nice getting into touch with like family and friends again. And then, I mean, for me, and I know for Justin as well, it's kind of like, you stay active. Like I took up boxing recently, and that's just kind of been something that I use to kind of let all the aggression out. And as far as mental health is concerned, I feel like the government's really kicked up support on like counseling and that. And I myself, like I do counseling because the way I treat, your mental health, it's almost like another muscle in your body. Like you have to train it and you have to stimulate it and be able to sort of explore how you're feeling and understand what you're feeling, whether it is depression, whether it is extreme joy. It's nice to kind of get a hold on what that is. And I feel like it's really been a benefit because a lot of times people are stuck at home. Maybe you don't have anybody to talk to. You live in a big city. You don't really have a tight social network. I think it's important, and I also have now come to realize that it's something that nobody should ever feel ashamed of having to do. Like there's no reason why, you should feel a little bit weird about telling somebody that you're talking to somebody, because you're not doing anything wrong. You're actually doing something that's fantastic and that's working on yourself. So, I guess that would be my bit about staying sort of busy in COVID and also coping with what's going on, because it's stressful. I don't know if I could swear, but it is.
For it.
It's okay.
It's stressful, man. I think for a lot of people, it's very stressful. So, I mean, reach out and get help. There's no reason why you shouldn't do that.
I want to ask you another question about your music. Like, I know you guys play awesome music, but I'm curious what music you guys listen to and some of the influences. What influences your music?
Cass, you want to answer this one?
Influences. It's always a tough question. Like the influences portion, I mean, so I'll say right now, we listen to like plenty of different kinds of music and like different artists and everything. The influences thing is like, because we listen to so much stuff, I wouldn't say that any single artist really represents more than like 5 or to 10% of like where we pull inspiration from.
You're certainly unique. Your sound is one of a kind.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you. And that's, I think, part of what happens when you listen to so much different kinds of music. Like, there was a point in time where we, like, every time before we were playing shows, we would listen to jazz only for like 2 hours because we wanted to like absorb more of that like swing and just like the improv and not keeping things so like rigid, you know what I mean? And not to say that like people are gonna like listen to our music and necessarily pick jazz out of it right away, but like that, I think keeping yourself open to all of those different genres is how you kind of craft that unique sound. And I think it's just part of our generation, being basically the first generation to grow up with music so easily accessible. And we really found that like the old sort of delineations and wars between genre, like in the early 2000s, like if you liked rock, you probably said that you hated hip hop, or like you would never listen to EDM, or, you know, you hated pop and you hated country. Whereas I think these days it's pretty rare to find someone who grew up in the age of like Napster or Spotify that only listens to one kind of music. I think that's very rare. And so I think that's why we're starting to get such a diverse range of music these days, because now you have all these artists who grew up with multiple influences that are kind of like pulling from everywhere. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of outlets to consume music from, so it's a lot of inspirations. That makes sense.
It's good to have an open mind, especially in that business of being creative.
Yeah.
Is there a certain direction you guys are trying to go with your music, or are you just going to continue experimenting? And
I think we just sort of choose what we're going to record based on what we enjoy the most. I think when we listen back to it, it's not like, you know, Justin and I get together and we're like, all right, let's go country for the next one. You know, it's kind of like,
that'd be interesting.
Which would be interesting. And you know what, we might do something like that, but I think for the most part, it's like we just write songs at whatever time period we are at, and we choose the best of that batch of songs. And naturally, you're going to have a difference between the songs you write now and the songs you wrote 4 or 5 years ago. It's just automatically going to sound different because you're a different artist. You know, you're constantly changing. So, you know, if I try to rewrite Black Holes, the album now, it would probably sound a lot different to what it did back then. And I'm not, you know, and I wouldn't try for it to be different. It would just come out differently. So I don't think there's a specific direction to answer your question, but we're definitely more open-minded. And I think working with different producers also yields a different sound at the end of the day. Like Paul brought something absolutely like novel to our music. And it was so cool to be like, no, this is still us, but it's new now and it's different and it's evolved. And I think that will keep happening.
And that's special for your fans as well. They get to enjoy that new direction that you guys can take the music in, and different sounds that are made and different songs that are made, right? It's just going down this journey together of like, wow, where's my favorite band going now? What are they exploring, right? What are they trying to push the envelope for? And I think that's really cool that you guys are doing that, right? And you guys have traveled a lot all over the world, and you got a lot of experiences, a lot of inspirations from the music that you guys have consumed and then that you've made, right? So it's really cool that you guys have been doing this.
Yeah, I was listening to something recently that Joni Mitchell said that, like, you're either going to get crucified for staying the same, or you're going to get crucified for pushing the envelope and trying something new. So you might as well do that, because at least it's keeping things fresh and it's pushing your boundary. And like with something like music that's very much comes from a deep part inside of you. And I think a lot of people have a hard time connecting with music that doesn't seem authentic. And so if you're writing good music, you're writing it from a place that's important to you. You might as well be growing that instead of kind of, staying the same and just stagnating. If you grow as a person, then your music's going to grow and change. And I think that's, like you said, it's part of it's a key part of the journey of following a musician. And I think that's even why it's like cool to see musicians live at different parts of their career. Like even if, a band releases an album in say like 2016, 2019, if they haven't released another album, they're still gonna in a way be a different band. And so it's always cool to like see bands multiple times in their career between albums as well.
I've definitely noticed in your songs, like there's deep meanings behind them. I'm curious, do you guys co-write those, or is there some songs that one of you writes and the other writes different songs, or how does that work? What is your process like when it comes to writing the songs?
I mean, predominantly I'll write the lyrics. The way it works is I'll usually write all the lyrics, and then when it comes down to us being in the studio, or even just in the demo pre-production phase, Justin will hear them. And there's been times where he's been like, well, why don't you sing this way? Or why don't you add this word here? So, he'll contribute like as far as tweaking the lyrics that are there. But yeah, how we've written it is always been, I'll write the lyrics, I'll write the music, and then bounce it off of Justin, and who provides like, his take on everything. So, and it seems to work quite well. I think before I wasn't really writing, I would write a few songs from my perspective and like things that have happened in my life, but I wouldn't really focus on that all too much. Sometimes I just think of a story and write about it, or like, a fictional occurrence. Didn't have to be something that necessarily happened to me. It might've been happening to somebody else. And I think for this, especially this upcoming album, and this is definitely due to Paul, but he really sort of challenged me to be like, no, man, like really think about what you're saying and think about the words that you're putting on the page, because the difference between a song that is a good song and a great song is somebody's ability to connect with it. And lyrics are a huge part of that I'd kind of been ignoring. So yeah, it's definitely shifted more on the lyrics for sure. And even with the new stuff that I find myself writing, it's a lot more from personal experience. Because that's just where the good shit's at, really. Yeah.
It's really cool that you say that as you guys write songs, you're pulling more and more personal life, personal experience into it, because a lot of the fans, a lot of the consumers really hinge on the lyrics. But then you get some artists who say, yeah, you know what? The lyrics at the end of the day don't really mean a whole lot. But I find that for myself, when I consume music, and especially when I consume music like your guys' sounds and songs, it really gets into a deeper place when you start listening to the lyrics. And then it's like, oh, wow, there's so many meanings with those lyrics. It's cool. It's really cool that you say that.
Yeah, it's always fun to see what some fans think the songs are about, and sometimes they nail it and sometimes they're so wrong.
No correlation.
But it's fun to see regardless. It's fun to read, because that just shows you that your music hits on a different level for different people. What something means to you is completely different for somebody else, and I just think that's the beautiful aspect of it all.
I think it was Dave Grohl said something like, when you sing a song to like 50,000 people, they sing it back for 50,000 different reasons. Yeah. Just kind of like you're saying, everyone interprets it differently, right?
Yeah, that's
what could you tell us about the upcoming album you mentioned? Any inside scoop we can get on that?
Awesome, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped on it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And I think it's like the most proud we've been of a piece of work.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of different sounds, kind of like what Justin was touching on, where a lot of our influences come to play. A lot of the different types of music we've been listening to come to play. It's super fresh, but it's not running away from who we are. I mean, we still write music ourselves. Like Justin and I write music, and this is what that music is, So I think it's something to be excited about.
So with the personal life bleeding out into the songs, do you guys have girlfriends or any past exes that you've written about?
I mean, almost every song is about some girl somewhere. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. But like any family members that you've written about?
Little brother.
Yeah, I guess little brother.
Is about little brothers.
Yeah, we both.
So yeah, Tarek and I are each the oldest.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. So Tarek has a younger brother, and I have a younger sister who's the same age, but I also have a brother who's younger than that too.
So do you guys have any pets at home?
Yeah, I do. She was just in here. You probably see her in the recording.
I saw you petting the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a dog. She's a golden retriever. She's 9.5.
Oh, so cute. How old?
She's a very cute girl. She's about 9.5, actually. We got her when she was 6. So yeah, I've had her for about almost just over 3 years now.
What's her name?
Karma, which we didn't name her. We think it's kind of like a little bit of a white trash name, like Karma's a but it was the only thing she had left, so we kept it. But.
Tarek, what about you?
I got a cat. I got a black cat, and he's a. He's around here somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Murphy, and he's funny. Yeah, it's every time we interact, it's like an exchange. It's like, hello, how are you? Good, okay. Go to your thing, I'll go do mine. It's nice though. Like he'll, very chill cat. Man. He's a very chill cat. He's afraid of a lot, but he's a cool cat.
When you guys are playing music at your houses, how is it for the animals?
Interesting question. Actually, I noticed that Murphy likes it. Like, if I'm playing guitar, like typically, I'll write music in like the room downstairs, which I call the Sugar Lounge. But if I'm playing guitar, he'll just like sit on the couch and just be there. I really do feel like music registers with pets. I don't really know how, but I feel like it does. So I think they react pretty well.
Where do you have a designated recording or writing room at your house?
It's in the basement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in the basement, so it's kind of locked away from everything.
Yeah. Justin, what about you?
Yeah, it's in this room. We got like an acoustic guitar over there, but I just have like an electronic drum set that I'll kind of work out different beats on and whatnot. But yeah, generally just it's pretty simple, to be honest. I don't know. We don't really do a lot in here. We usually when we're rehearsing, we usually get like a different rehearsal space somewhere so that we can actually like make noise, whether that's at like a bar or something. But yeah.
So you're just not riffing in the kitchen or in the attic or something?
No, it doesn't quite happen like that. Doesn't quite happen like that, no.
No. With the music that you guys have made, like what have you feel the most proud about?
I think it's developing a fan base and having people that are actually dedicated to the music you make and looking forward to everything that you release. Like that's by far the most rewarding thing. That'd be my answer for sure. I think it probably for both of us, really.
Yeah,
Perfect.
It's just cool to have something like that's built out into what this is. We've been working at it for a long time, so it's just rewarding to have this, to be honest.
Definitely deserve it. You guys rock, man.
Thanks.
Hard work
Awesome.
pays off.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Ty. Thank you.
Awesome. All right,
Sweet.
so that basically concludes the interview. I really appreciate you guys spending your time, taking time out of your day for us. It's a real honor being able to interview you guys. You guys are amazing, and I'm really excited for the accomplishments that you guys can achieve with your new album coming out. So it's cool. It's really cool.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Fun interview.
Thank
Cheers. See you, boys.
See
you.
ya.
Have a nice night. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to donate to Nourishing Minds and keep tuning in to Rock Around the Clock.